If you've ever spent hours upon hours applying for jobs on influencer platforms and getting literally nothing in response, you're probably just as frustrated as I am, and definitely not alone in this process. In the last couple months, I have shared so many different posts on different platforms from LinkedIn to Instagram, asking creators how they were feeling right now about influencer platforms, and I was shocked at how many creators said that they all are terrible. So why are we using influencer platforms? Why do they even still exist? Let me back up. We need to have a conversation about this. Are influencer platforms dead? Let's talk about why we're all feeling that way and maybe what we can do instead of using them. And don't worry, at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you my rates for brand partnerships, because I know whether you're pitching on these terrible platforms or you are negotiating with brands in your emails, you're probably trying to figure out exactly what is reasonable to be charging. And I have the perfect formula that I'm going to share with you. Timestamps are down below, and let's get right into it. So why do these platforms really feel so broken? If you're a creator who has been using these platforms since 2020 or even before that, you know that they actually used to be really good. I would say in 2019 to 2020, almost all of my partnerships that I landed were through these platforms. It was a completely different landscape. Now, one of the biggest issues that I find with them is I think there's really just so much competition. Now, I know that competition doesn't always have to be a bad thing, because there really are so many great creators, and we can still stand out on our Instagrams or our TikToks and get hired. That's not impossible at this point. However, I do feel like it's a problem on influencer platforms because you don't actually have to be an influencer to get accepted into these platforms. So what we're finding is that there's just a lot of people who haven't really been vetted in these platforms. Everyone is applying for the jobs, and it's really, really easy to just get denied because there are just so many people and not even a high quality of saturation on the platforms. The other problem with that specifically is that a lot of these people who are coming in and applying on these platforms are either accepting really, really low price collaborations, which is why brands keep posting them as really low price collaborations, or they are pitching rates that are really low, and so we're automatically getting priced out of jobs. It really is a race to the bottom on pricing, right? Like, as a creator who charges a lot of money for a partnership, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I go for more quality of partnership over quantity. I'm not looking to work with 100 brands in a year. I want to just do less collaborations, but more higher paying collaborations. And so for me, especially on platforms, as someone who's trying to get paid fairly, I really do feel like there's such a waste of time, because I very often am getting, a creator who also creates really great content offering the partnership at a fourth of the price that I usually charge. That brings me to my next point of why these platforms are so hard. And that is because if I am pitching a rate that is 4 times higher than someone else's who also has great content, I am often not given the space, the physical space, to explain why I should be hired over other creators. And I think that's a big problem. Obviously, given the volume of creators that are applying for a lot of these jobs, I can't imagine being a brand who is getting bombarded with paragraphs from each person. There's no way they're going to be able to read through all of them. And so I think that's why a lot of platforms just say, enter your follower count, enter your links, your name, and, we'll get back to you. Because if they had gotten more space to explain why you're great for this partnership, it would be really hard for the brands to sort through, again, given how many people are actually applying. So because that communication is so limited, or honestly even non-existent in some cases, we often don't have the chance to explain our unique value proposition or why we're a better choice over another creator, or even to justify our rates if we needed to. Another problem that I often see with these platforms is that there is little to no creative input. Very often the brands are extremely specific about what they're looking for, and they're not really looking for someone to put their creative touch on it. And I think for a lot of creators who know what performs well with their audience and want to stick to those things, it does sometimes create some friction when working with brands because we want to do things one way, the brand wants us to do things another way. And again, we don't have a lot of room for communication to change those things up. So the big question is, are influencer platforms dead? And in my opinion, they're not dead, but I don't think they're prioritizing creators. I think these platforms are very, very much built for the brands so that the brands can find people to hire really inexpensive to do exactly what they want. And I honestly see that as a huge problem in our industry. Where I do think these platforms could potentially be great is for real level zero beginners who maybe just want to get into content creation and need to kind of get some portfolio work going, or they're not super concerned about how much they're charging. They just need to get the experience. Fine. That's a fabulous situation as long as you can get hired, which again, we know could be a challenge. But honestly, I don't really see a lot of other benefits for other levels of creators. So when we are actually trying to land brand partnerships, and previously we used to rely so much on these platforms, what the heck are we doing now? That's the big question. In my opinion, it's actually gone through a few levels where we used to use these platforms. Then everyone started sending cold pitch emails. And then we kind of got to a point where now not even the cold pitch emails really are converting because again, everyone on TikTok and Instagram teaches you how to send cold pitches. They're even sharing the emails of the people that you need to pitch. And so everyone's back to this point of we're getting way too much information in our inboxes. It's so easy to just hit delete on these because we simply don't have the capacity to go through all of them. So where do we go from here? This is actually why in 2022, I actually did not pitch brands the entire year because I really wanted to experiment with what happened if I was focusing more on getting inbound requests and creating actual relationships with the people who worked at these brands that I wanted to partner with. I literally was able to partner with some of my dream brands, make great money, and I didn't have to send any cold pitch emails. And this is what I call the anti-pitch method. This method relies so heavily on using that time that you would normally spend pitching and actually spending it more on creating content that's going to attract brands, as well as using platforms like LinkedIn to actually network and talk with the people who are going to be potentially hiring you. Now, if this sounds overwhelming or even exciting, don't worry, you don't have to do it alone. In our creator community with over 150 other creators, it's called Soulcial Suite. This is really your hub for learning skills like the anti-pitch method, but also getting the peer and coach support that you need to not have to go through this process alone. If you're getting a contract that's confusing, or a brand's asking for your rates and you're not sure how to price it, or you have a completely dead inbox, no one's reaching out to you and you need help figuring out how to get more partnerships, Soulcial Suite is the perfect place to get not only the education, but also again, that peer support where we can help you through the whole process. If you're looking for a little support in your creator journey, down below you can get more information on Soulcial Suite. But while we're here, didn't forget, I want to share my creator rates with you. Now, I know that figuring out what to charge can be really hard, especially because a lot of the resources online are these janky calculators that probably are going to tell you to charge way too little compared to what you really should be charging. And this is exactly why I use the fair pricing method. It's a method that I created back in 2024 now, and it really takes into consideration more than just your follower count. So yes, we're looking at follower count, but it's one piece of the puzzle on top of things like how targeted is your audience, how engaged is your audience, what does your reach look like? These are all really important pieces of the puzzle to make sure that we're getting the full picture on how much you should actually be charging. So for me as a creator with less than 30,000 followers on Instagram, And on TikTok, I'm actually charging about $2,000 per reel and about $750 or so for a TikTok video. Now, if you want to use the same fair pricing formula, I actually created a free resource. It's a little worksheet along with a video that will walk you through exactly how to calculate it. And honestly, it's a 4-step process. It's so quick, it should take you less than 5 minutes. And then you'll be able to have your rates that you can go out and try and land with the brands that you really want to partner with. So check out that worksheet down in the description below. And as always, I'll see you guys next week.